Femi Falana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, has called for the appellate court to review the sackings of the governors of Kano, Abba Yusuf, and Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau, alleging that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, failed to conduct proper elections. And Osun Judiciary Staff Union protest removal of Chief Judge by Governor Adeleke. I am Bola Hoba, and this is Plus Politics. The sacking of the Plateau State Governor, Caleb Mutfwang, has been greeted with criticism amidst claims that the All Progressives Congress (APC) is planning to run a one-party system in Nigeria. Plus, TV News gathered that the sacking of Mutfwang was the third experience of the opposition in 4 days. Nigeria's Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, has called for the appellate court to review the sackings of Governor Abba Yusuf and Governor Caleb Mutfwang, alleging that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, failed to conduct proper elections. Falana argued that the courts should not nullify votes due to electoral umpires' negligence and that thousands of votes should not be invalidated due to INEC officials failing to stamp ballot sheets. The court sacked 3 governors in opposition parties, including Yusuf and Mutfwang, and ordered INEC to conduct fresh elections in Zamfara. A political analyst and international analyst, Paul Ejima, joins us now to look at the sacking of the governor. Good to have you. Good to have you, Paul Ejima.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. What can you make of the rulings, Court of Appeal rulings against governors of Plateau, Kano, and Zamfara?
So it looks like everybody appears jolted by what is happening, but this has been on for some time, and pro-democracy activists have been worried about it because it appears that elections are now results are being hijacked by the courts, which is not good for the growth of democracy. Remember that in the context of gubernatorial election in the East, a candidate that came fourth was made the governor by the Supreme Court. And then there were also issues where some candidates did not participate in party primaries, but went ahead to be. I think it's not good. It bodes ill for democracy. And so this call ought to have come yesterday instead of today that is coming, but better late than never. Nigeria's political system is ailing and needs to be fixed.
Can we agree that in any respectable liberal democracy, the zenith of the electoral system ends at the courts? Can we agree on that?
Exactly, not just in the election, but in all cases. Fantastic. Because the courts are supposed to be the last hope of the common man. But where we have now people, because those with deep pockets, they can buy. It's a very bad testament on Nigeria that a place where the judiciary can be bought, or the judges. Remember, in fact, it was I don't know who said it. One of the eminent jurists, Chukwudifo Puta, of blessed memory, a Supreme Court judge. he lamented this type of thing when he said that if, for instance, you have issues, the citizens have issues with the executive, they can go to the judiciary and they will provide a remedy. If the legislature is trampling on the citizen, they will go to the judiciary and you will get remedy. But when you now have problem with the judiciary, that it becomes a hopeless and a helpless case. And so the earlier this trend, this drift is halted in Nigeria, the better. People were complaining about INEC that they didn't conduct the February election fairly. There was no transparency. It was not credible. But imagine a case where now all that it will appear as if there was no election, or that why bother to go to election? It creates a disincentive. It creates disappointment in the electorate. There will be no hope. They don't have any confidence in the system.
Are you indirectly saying that someone who is not a prima facie member of a political party, but because he is the godson of the most powerful politician in that party, was hoisted on him, was hoisted on the party to contest an election, and it's been successfully proved using the very document that has the names of members of the party that person, as at the time he was given as candidate to INEC, was not a member of the party. Are you saying now that person should just have a free ride and have the so-called election validated by the court? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Well, that is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you are just picking in one case. But I'm telling you that there have been several. In fact,
okay. Let me give you another example. Another example is a political party supposedly conducted primaries, and members of that political party went to court, and a court of competent jurisdiction instructed that political party to go back to the 11 wards, to the 11 local government areas where primaries were not conducted. The party seemingly went back and conducted primaries in just 5 of the 11 local government areas. And now that the result of that illegality is being invalidated by the Supreme Court. Are we saying politicians, especially those who have the resources in their state, should just run roughshod over fellow members, and once they are elected, they should be singing hallelujah somebody?
Well, you are putting me on a time. I would rather you put that question to the politicians, who are the lawyers and the judges that are involved, okay, in this rape of democracy, because that is what it is. I'm not going into the details of the individual cases you are citing.
I'm really sorry to have to ask those tough questions. I don't really enjoy having to put my guest in a tightrope of a sort. But for all we care, and to those Nigerians watching this evening, the nitty-gritty of the decisions that are now being simplistically and generalistically condemned, those are the nitty-gritty of those cases. Somebody, because he is the kingpin of the party he just acquired in his state, decided not to pick any bona fide member of that party and picked somebody who as at the time he picked him was not a member of the party. Now the Supreme Court has ruled, the Court of Appeal, the person still has the right of appeal anyway, so even this decision, we never know where ultimately the direction it may go, because at this juncture is speculative. Do we agree to that?
No, I don't know what you want me to agree.
No, what I'm saying is that it's easy for us.
And it's bad news for Nigerian judiciary that such a thing is happening. I mean, the judge, look, they tell you about, the court is talked about as a temple of justice. I mean, after God, it is the courts that will come in, judges. These are people who are revered. These are people whose words should, in fact, in those days, they are not, you hear them, but they are not seen. That is why you don't see judges or magistrates fraternizing, going to, there are places where their position will not allow them to go. That is to say that because they are next to God, they are sacred. But here, what is happening in Nigeria is that court judgments can be bought, and that is dangerous for anything you think about. In fact, that is the lowest that any country can go. If the church, the court can no longer give hope, can no longer give aspiration, can no longer give confidence to the common man, because that is supposed to be a leveler. Judges are supposed to be, they make laws, you know, not just interpreting it, because of how they are, how revered, how highly they are, you know, the esteem they are held. No, but what is happening now is that those who have money can buy anything.
No sensible person can disagree with your submission.
Yes.
The only problem with that submission is the generalistic nature with which every judge is now, with that submission, subjected to innuendos. And is that fair as a commentator? Is that as a political analyst? Is that fair a phraseology or a way to speak to a whole arm of government where, like in journalism, like in political analysis, like in any other sphere of life, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly? Is this the best way to go about, portraying our judges in this country?
No, Bola, don't get me wrong. I am not painting all judges with the black brush, but I'm saying that a bad apple spoils a whole basket. If the judges, if the judiciary cannot discipline in their members to the point of losing public confidence, it's not my call. I am not the one making the judgment on the verdicts and decisions they are given. In fact, like they say, their reputation precedes them. But it's not all of them. But if it's not, it becomes a trend. Then it creates a worry in the system. That is what I'm saying. I'm not that if you count 1, 2, 3, 4 cases, you have judges or courts of parallel, or what do you call it, the same jurisdiction, giving different decisions or judgments on a given case. That shouldn't be the case. I mean, you don't need anybody, you don't need a journalist or a commentator to tell judges, to tell Nigerians, or tell the judiciary. But by the way, what happened, do you know what happened to the former Chief Justice? 14 of his colleagues wrote a petition. It has never happened. It's an ugly precedent in Nigeria. And recently, a retiring judge also made a comment about indicting his colleagues at the Supreme Court. I am not the one making this. I'm surprised that you are putting up a defense for something that is wrong and is going to destroy a whole Nigerian society. If its care is not taken, Nigeria will be lost. Because if the common man, for instance, if we allow impunity to reign, it will bring one-party system. In fact, the ugliest of everything will happen if care is not taken. If Nigerians do not come to halt, and it is up to the judiciary.
It was the same judiciary.
To control itself.
It was the same
You know, and not
judiciary.
allow the ordinary citizens to
It was
have
the same judiciary,
yes,
Polygima, that
and
made
the
sure.
country.
It was the same judiciary that made sure that APC could not contest in Zamfara. That APC, the penultimate election, that APC could not contest in Rivers. The same judiciary that under an APC president ruled that the party's local branches in those states, because of the brazen abuse of the Electoral Act, could not contest. In fact, in one instance, in Bayelsa State, an APC governor-elect was a couple of hours away from being sworn in, and his victory was invalidated by the same judiciary. Are we talking about this same judiciary when he rules against a Mutfwang or a Yusuf in Kano and Plateau? Suddenly the judiciary becomes the villain of our analysis.
Well, I'm surprised that you are putting up this kind of argument. As if you are
I have a job to do. I have to ask you questions.
I have told you, we are not painting all the judges with the black brush. But I am saying that if a trend becomes so frequent, I started by telling you that courtroom is not where you decide elections in the first place. Elections are decided at the polling booths using the ballot box. But the fact that Nigerian election is now ending up in the courts is an anathema. It is something that should be addressed. Now go to the judgments that is coming from the courts. I am not going into individual, whether I'm not party, I don't belong to any party, and I will never belong to any, particularly in Nigeria. But what I'm saying is whether it is party A or party B that the decision favors, the verdicts are becoming questionable. That is the issue. You cannot, whether it favors A or B, the judges need to sit down to put their house in order. This is the point I'm making. And I'm not the one raising the issue.
And you don't think...
Falana law is a lawyer. There are many candidates, many commentators are saying the same thing. We are the all hope to rely on, if the legislative arm of government and the executive arm of government, who is the judiciary that should call them to order. But what is happening is that the judiciary itself has become compromised. Everybody, politicians are compromised, lawyers are compromised. Where are we going to?
You don't think
like Caesar's wife, the judiciary must be above board. That is the point I'm making. I've given you the instance.
And you don't think that you may be communicating that instead of the politicians who should be made to act properly at the level, instead of the politicians who are the weakest link of our electoral value chain, I see analysts like you now targeting the judiciary for making sure that they draw the politicians to do the right thing, to be consistent with the Constitution and the Electoral Act, even when the politicians are always determined to mess up the process. And when they are corrected, because I gave you some examples, and within the context of your right, you are not in a law court, I cannot be forcing you, but I gave you some examples of instances in the recent rulings that you have generalistically referred to as making the judiciary look as though they are corrupt. I'm saying somebody brought in a mentee who was not a bona fide member of the party to come and contest as governor, and that person now is having his candidature invalidated by one of the courts. In another case, because we don't want to go into the specifics, in another case, the Court of Appeal stated that you cannot build something on nothing because a court of competent jurisdiction had invalidated a charade that they called the primaries. And they went ahead to use what the court had invalidated to produce their candidates. And I gave you the example when the courts, different courts, invalidated the victory of a governor-elect, made sure that a particular party, because we don't want to speak to parties now, that a particular party could not produce candidates in a state, Rivers State, that a particular party that had produced candidates and had won an election in Zamfara was told that all his candidates were not qualified for the elections, and another party benefited from their victory. And the same judiciary now is the Achilles heels of our electoral system. Just a rehash. How would you respond to that?
Well, it looks like you have a vested interest in defending the judiciary or whatever. And I've told you, I am not against the judiciary. But that the trust in the judiciary is eroding. You cannot deny it. And look at the title of your screen on the screen. Appeal court verdicts. It is not one verdict, but several verdicts. Not just the appeal courts, high courts, and the Supreme Court in Nigeria. So, and people are having issues with them. They are not supposed to, they should be facilitators and not hindrances to democracy. That is the point I'm making. I'm not into all the cases you are citing, the cases that where they have, are they supposed, what is their role in the first place? Are they supposed to be, praised for doing their job? Or have we lost it that we don't know what is the role of democracy? If politicians are doing what they are doing, what is the role of judiciary? Judiciary is to call them to order. And if they fail to call them to order, other people will now tell them, listen, you are losing it. That is the point I'm making. I don't want to get into whether it is state A or state B or one judgment or another. Generally speaking, when you pick all the verdicts, and that is what is there, appeal court verdicts. Some governors are now also deciding against the justices, because the justices have lent themselves into, they put themselves in this tight corner by giving decisions, maybe not the ones there, but their mates. They have not conducted themselves in, they have not covered themselves with glory. That is the point we're making. They need to go back to the drawing board.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes.
As a political analyst,
yes,
is it that one must always shadow or repeat an opinion that seems popular, or does one have a duty to enlighten the public about how things should be properly done across the value chain of any event or any incident that one is analyzing?
I don't know what you want to achieve by that question. What is the essence of? Tell me, why were you conducting this interview? What is the basis of this interview? I want to know.
Because.
No, tell me what it's about. Is it that you have agreed that the judges, the judiciary, they are doing a fantastic job? So you want me to come and validate it? Or you are seeking my opinion about the performance of the judiciary? I'm telling you, this is what it is. They might have been, and we cannot begin to applaud them for doing their job. The judiciary they are like a compass, the conscience of the society, of the nation. Okay? So if they get it right, we can't be praising them. When they do wrong, and that is what is happening, they are doing much of what is happening in political, especially with political cases. I am not the one saying it. There is capture, state capture. The government in power is not only in Nigeria, all over the place. They capture the executive, the institution, government institutions. They capture the legislature that will tell you that we are, whatever the executive says, we have to support. That is not democracy. The judiciary that will also not look very critically at what is brought before it. That is not the judiciary that will promote democracy. We are talking about the performance of the third very strong third arm of government. And I have given you an instance by saying that it is not for nothing that the court is referred to as a temple. And temples are associated with solemnity, a sacredness, that after God, this is where you can go. But if we're the common man, can you get judgments in a Nigerian court? Where if money now begins what is raining, if you don't have money, you cannot go there because you can. And where people are telling you, politicians are saying, we have done what we are doing, you can go to court. Why do they say that? Because they feel that they have the judges in their pockets. I am not saying it, that is what is happening. And for all the good work that the other judges are doing, the ones that are giving these, dangerous verdicts or supporting politicians because of pecuniary interests, they are destroying the judiciary and at the same time the society and the country. That is what I'm saying. And if something is going wrong, that is when you need to shout. That is when you need to set an alarm or set off the alarm. Things are not working well. Where should the governor be sacking judges? But the judiciary has provided this opportunity. By becoming a stepping stone for, or this footmatch of governors. That is what is happening.
Thank you very much,
when they bring themselves to that level, then anything can happen.
Thank you very much, Paul Ejima, for contributing. We really appreciate you. The tough questions must be asked, not because we are supporting the judiciary, but when people also come into the public space, they must be asked tough questions to make sure that they give balanced opinions. Thank you, but you've made your point. Thank you.
I have given my balanced opinion.
We'll go on a short break, and when we're back,
thank you very much.
we'll continue the program.